This is Ryan Elliott for ID Boxing. We're in San Antonio. Delighted to be joined by trainer Robert Garcia tonight. Robert, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Let's get down to it. Jesse Rodriguez headlining this weekend. 23 years old, could become a two-weight world champion. Had the press conference today. Christian Gonzalez, quietly confident. What are you expecting to see this weekend from Jesse's opponent?
Well, you know what? Any opponent that is unknown and is getting a big opportunity is gonna come in to try to win. Obviously, you know, I'm pretty sure he's trained like never before, fighting for a world title, and then fighting against somebody like Jesse, who everybody already thinking of a future star and the face of boxing in the future, pound for pound, one of the best fighters in the world. So I'm pretty sure he trained like never before. So those are the dangerous guys, man. Those are the dangerous guys, the guys that nobody knows, the guys that nobody expects them to win. They're the ones that come and pull up a lot of surprises. But you know, Jesse's ready. Jesse's prepared and ready to perform and ready for anything that Gonzalez brings.
We were just talking off camera about, you know, how he is with the weight, and obviously he's got very early weigh-in tomorrow, which I know a lot of fighters prefer. But coming back down to flyweight, have you noticed that strength? Does he still make the weight pretty well?
Well, you know what? When we first agreed to get down to 112, we thought and believed that it might be a little bit hard. And himself, we talked about him only fighting, getting the title, you know, and then moving back up to 115. But as the time went by, you know, he started camp early and very dedicated. And the last couple of weeks, we've actually noticed and seen that his weight's coming up really easy. He started eating healthy with plenty of time and training hard, obviously. And the weight is really easy. I think he could actually campaign at 112 for a while if we choose to, because he could also move up to 115 again. It's only 3 pound difference, but I think 112 he could unify. He could fight, you know, the other champions at the division and feel good, because he does feel solid. He feels strong. He's not beat up from making weight. You know, I think it came out naturally.
One thing Jesse said today that I found interesting was that after his last fight, and people were, for the first time in his career, maybe criticising him or questioning him, and he said he has had that chip on his shoulder. Have you noticed that in training camp, that he feels like he's got something to prove here?
Well, you know what? He always trains hard. But yeah, we talked about it. He says the same thing, you know, about, you know, him not giving his best performance, but you know, no excuses. Obviously, the kid came to fight, and we had a tough fighter, you know, with a great game plan. So Jesse had difficulties, but it also, you know, it also had a lot to do with the fights being back to back, you know, from June to September right away, only giving him a couple weeks maybe of rest, and then getting back to training camp. You know, he wasn't really motivated. We kind of told him, you know, we have to take this fight because it's on the Canelo fight, and it'll give you so much publicity, especially in Mexico. So that was the reason we took it. But it did affect them. You know, that it was right away back to back training camps. You know, training camps are hard. You know, kids train hard. They go through diets. They go through sparring. They go through morning runs and everything. And it is tiring. So I think he needed a little bit more time off.
As I said before, he could become a two-weight world champion at just 23 years of age. You watch him every day. How much higher do you think his ceiling is?
Well, you know, we have to be patient. We got to go fight by fight. You know, the fight's not over yet. You know, we still have to fight Saturday. So, if everything goes well, he becomes a unified champion. A two-division champion, and I think there's so much this kid could accomplish. You know, he's only 23, so you know, by the time he's 26, he could already be a 3 or 4 division champion. I'm telling you, I definitely know that the kid will be. You know, with. You know, I'm not going to rush him either. You know, being only 23, he's got another at least 10 more years in his career. So I would say that the kid has potential, still growing. His body's going to get a little bit more big, and I think he could end up being a featherweight champion. So that would probably be like a 4 or 5 division champion. I wouldn't mind. You know, I think the kid's got the skills to do that. You know, the other fighters have done it. You know, and other fighters do it in weight classes that are more difficult because there's more pounds. You know, Canelo from 154. He's a 4 division champion, but all the way up to 175. So those are a lot of pounds that we're talking about. With Jesse, this is only a 3 pound difference. Then going up to 118 is going to be from 115 is going to be only a 3 pound difference. Then you go 4 pounds to go to a super bantamweight, and then another 4 to go to featherweight. So we're not talking about a big difference. If you see on this card, we also have Jesse Magdaleno, who's very, very talented, and we're definitely cheering for him. He's not much bigger than Bam, and so I know Bam could compete at 126 in the future. Now, I'm not saying anything right now or anytime soon because I'm not going to rush it. But we also see the champion, MJ. MJ is defending title. He's already a unified champion. He's probably besides Inoue, who's and his opponent that are going to fight for a big fight. He's up there as one of the best at that division. And if you put him next to Jesse, he's not much bigger than Jesse either. I think that's what I'm saying. I know Jesse will compete at that division, at those divisions, but only when the right time comes. Right now, there's no rush. He's 23. We said it many times. So as the years go by, I know he will be moving up in weight. I wouldn't be surprised that he even fights at junior lightweight.
I went on my phone after the press conference and I saw you tweeted back to Sonny Edwards. Sonny's been kind of suggesting over the last few days that maybe Bam doesn't want that fight anymore if he wins this weekend, and it seemed like you just kind of had enough of the narrative. Can you just explain what kind of happened there?
You know what? When there's fighters that are pushing for a fight, and when it to us when we see something like kind of being or like you're afraid that now you're choosing to fight Gallo. I knew he was afraid of me. Come on, man. That's not boxing. This boxers, especially if it comes from us, from my team. Growing up from my dad, we're never gonna reject the fight. We're never gonna be afraid of a fight. Sonny Edwards is a solid champion, and I've always said it. We definitely want to fight him, but when a few weeks ago or a few weeks back, I said that after this fight, when we were still thinking that this might only be Bam's only fight at 112, then we might go up to 115 and challenge Gallo again. So Sonny said, "Oh, that means I knew they were afraid of me. I knew they don't want to fight me." That's not the case, Sonny. Bam is not afraid to fight you, and definitely me neither. I would love Bam to go out there and unify against Sonny Edwards, and our plan would be to put a beating on him. That's what we would do. That's what we plan to do. But the reason I said that is because by that, when I said that, I didn't know. Well, we still didn't know for sure. We had no idea that Sonny Edwards had already been talking to Eddie Hearn or had signed an agreement. We knew he was with a different promoter, so those fights are not easy to make. When you have one promoter and another promoter, those fights are not easy to make. Gallo already fights for Matchroom, so those are the easy fights to make. But now that we learned just a week ago that Sonny Edwards is now officially signed with Matchroom, that's a fucking easy fight to make. So that's the fight. After this one, everything goes well Saturday with Bam, then that's the next fight. We're not gonna run away from Sonny if he thinks that we're trying to hide or run away from him. Definitely not. That'll be the next fight. More likely that will be the next fight.
That's good to hear. Where do you think that fight will be? Will it be US or UK?
Well, it doesn't matter to us. I've said it. That man, we would love to go. I've already done it before years ago with Stevie Luevano. We went to England and we beat Nicky Cook. Steve Luevano became champion over there, knocked him out in the 11th round. So it's not like like we're afraid to do that. I've had fighters go to opposite promoters and win their titles. Franco went to a top-ranked card and beat up on a top-ranked fighter and became champion. Like I told you, Stevie Luevano went to England and became champion over there. So I'm not, and I've had more cases like that. I would never end, but we're not afraid to do that. But it's all it's going to be up to the promoters too. Whatever they want. If they think the fight is big enough here in the States, then we'll do it here in the States. But if they feel that we could be in a way bigger fight financially and everything, then we could do it over there too. I have no problem with that.
Just a word on Jesus Martinez, who will be on this card as well. I just learned today that you've had him in the gym, linked up with him. I know he's done some rounds with Bam as well. He's managed by Darren Barker and Joe Calzaghe, two big names over in the UK. How has he settled in, and what kind of a fighter do you have on your hands as well?
Well, you know what? I know they matched him up with a pretty solid opponent. You know, that kid is the kid I'm we're fighting has experience. You know, he's a tough kid. He already beat one of my guys in his last fight, so I already know, you know, that it's not going to be an easy fight for Martinez. You know, Martinez is a hardworking kid, man. He works hard. He's got one thing in mind, and he wants to be great. He wants to be world champion, but it's also not very good to think like that so soon in your career, especially when you're barely 18. You know, the kid turned pro at 17, so I want to take it slowly with him. You know, there's no rush. He's only 18, so there's no need for him for us to be pushing him that fast. I know this fight's not going to be easy because the kid he's fighting is tough, but Martinez is in great shape. He works hard. He had great sparring. Yes, he also sparred a few rounds with Jesse, so they're both in great shape.
So we're on Jose Ramirez, back with a win recently. We haven't seen you since. What do you make of his performance?
You know what? Jose had, I think, overall great performance because he did what everybody expected, and he did what he needed. You know, coming off a win by decision and a loss against Josh Taylor. You know, he needed a performance like this where he looked strong and dominated, and then he even finished by knocking out the guy in the 11th round. I think that's one thing that he really needed for his own persona, you know, his own mind, you know, to be like, I still got it, because there's, you know, fighters at that stage of their careers where they've already had too many fights, where they already had too many wars, where they're already former world champions. Sometimes they could start doubting themselves if it's already time to hang them up, if they're still got it, and he showed that he still got it. You know, Kame is not an easy opponent, and he goes out, dominates, and knocks him out. So I think it was a great performance. Now we gotta wait to see who wins between Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez, because I personally would love the rematch against Josh Taylor, but Teofimo Lopez is also a great fighter. So if Teofimo Lopez wins, then we might go for Teofimo Lopez because he'll be a champion. There's also that fight, you know, with Regis Prograis. It's a fight that we could also try to negotiate. Prograis got his own promoter, so those are fights that sometimes negotiations don't go well because, you know, both sides want to be the main guys and both sides want the most money. So those fights are difficult to make. But Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez winner, they both fight for top rank, so that would be an easy fight to make. You know, the winner of the Teofimo Lopez with Taylor fight.
I think Regis Prograis just came out just before. I saw a video before I came down here and said he's now a promotional free agent as far as he is aware. Does that make that much easier?
Well, it will make it easier if he decides to sign with Top Rank. Obviously, you know, if he is a free agent with no promoter, then if you really want to fight the top 140 pounders, then you're gonna sign with Top Rank. But you know, it's also a business. Maybe fights with PBC would also be huge, especially somebody like Tank. Imagine him and Tank. That would be a great fight, and that would be a big money fight. Tank is a huge star, especially if he beats Ryan Garcia. He's going to be a superstar, so he might go that direction too. You know, this is a business, and he's you know, he's a smart man. You know, and this business, you know, you can't think of, oh, I just want to fight. I need that fight because that's the fight I want. No, you got to go after your future. You know, which fight's going to make you the most money, and if he wants to do that, I won't blame him. You know, I know a lot of people. Oh, well, then if you wanted to fight Jose so bad, why didn't you sign with Top Rank? Well, this is a business, man, and Regis is going to do what's best for him and what makes the most money for him too, and I won't blame him.
Robert, well, I've got you here. One fighter I wanted to ask you about, going back a bit now, is Marcos Maidana. Obviously, absolutely adored by boxing fans. I wanted to go back to when he first came to you. He came off the back of losing pretty much every round to Devin Alexander. Came down to your gym, was half considering retiring. His handlers talked him into giving it another go. Came down to you. What were your early impressions of when he walked through your gym doors?
You know what? Everything you said is correct. You know, he definitely didn't want to fight anymore. He wasn't happy in my gym. You know, it wasn't easy. The first few days, I thought we're gonna have to send him back home because he didn't want to be there. But little by little, he started making friends with all my teammates. You know, with all my fighters, his teammates. Mikey, Brandon Rios, and all the younger fighters that we've always had in my gym, and he fell in love with the sport again. From there, his career just made a totally different turn. Had a couple of wins, then he goes and beats Broner, and then he fights Mayweather twice. His life changed when he came to me.
I read somewhere that he wasn't actually that much of a boxing fan. Is it true when you agreed the Broner fight, he didn't even really know who Adrian Broner was?
It's true. He didn't know who Adrian Broner was. He doesn't follow boxing. He doesn't care about boxing. Now that he's a promoter and promoting fighters, I'm pretty sure he knows a little bit more, or maybe he lets his people do all the searching for fighters. But he had no idea who Broner was when he fought him.
It's looked back now as this big cultural fight, with what happened in the fight and the contrast in personalities. Well, I know you get on quite well with Adrian. I've seen a video of you, I think it was Ellie posted a while ago, talking with him. But what are your memories of the build-up to that fight as well? And the night itself was a brilliant fight.
I love Adrian Broner. He's a great person, great friend. We joke around, we play around, and I don't have any problem with him. He's a great person. But going into the fight, before we knew him that well, obviously he always been a cocky guy, and by then, at that point, he was supposed to be the next Mayweather. So he was cocky, and very few people. Probably nobody, especially media people, thought we could win the fight. Everybody was telling me the week of the fight that we had no chance. But that gave us more power, more like mentally, just gave us more power to go out there and prove everybody wrong. And when we did, it was fun because I also had a few deals with a lot of reporters that if we win for a whole year, I'm not going to let you interview me. If I win for you're going to do X amount of push-ups, things like that. I never bet money, but just like that, where I'm not going to do an interview with you, where I'm not going to, where you got to do push-ups, where just different challenges like that. And I won, so I had everybody doing push-ups, and those that I promised I wouldn't do interviews with, I never did until a year or whatever. So it was fun. It was just a fun camp. Press conference, and now that I know Adrian Broner personally, I was happy to be part of those events because it only make Maidana a huge star, but also Broner, he's a great person, and he's had some great fights, big paydays, so I'm happy for him too.
So come on to the Floyd fights. How fond are your memories of that time? I remember even in the rematch and the All Access, you and Floyd getting into it in the press conference. Again, fun build-ups, fights that, the first fight he ran Floyd close, but that secured him and let him walk away a happy man as well.
You know what? It was fun also because then, same thing Mayweather, being the best pound for pound fighter in the world, and obviously us challenging him, and we have to build up the fight. We have to build up the fight, so we have to come up with stuff that's gonna create attention, the fans, people who buy the pay-per-view, and we did that. There was moments where Mayweather, was talking, and I would bring in some huge gloves because he didn't let us use the gloves that we wanted to use, and I bought some big gloves saying these are the gloves we're gonna wear. There was times where I talked about all the girlfriends that he has. We just had to build it up, but it was fun. At one time his securities kind of came up to him like, dudes, get the fuck out of it because I'm not afraid of you guys. Stuff like that. It was fun. It was fun. After that, it's at the end of the day, it's a sport. We're all in the same. We don't wish nobody bad. We want everybody to come out clean from the fight and healthy. So it's a sport, but building up the fights, it does become, real. It's not like we're making it up or anything like that. It does become real. I would have, if the securities, really started something, I would have to, throw punches. I would probably get my ass kicked because they're big guys. But I would have to, So it wasn't like we were making it up or we planned it out. No, it was just things that really did happen.
Between the first fight, such a brilliant performance in the first fight with Floyd, and the second fight, how did things change? And in the second fight, you had his family around camp a bit more and things like that. What were the kind of differences?
Well, no, you know what? I think what changed is when we learned who the referee was going to be. When we learned that Kenny Bayless was going to be the referee, I had to change things around. Going into the second fight, we were planning on fighting the way we did the first fight, but even worse, man. Like, I'm not, man, punches all wherever they land. I can't say dirty because dirty punches the ref is not going to allow them, but just punches to land anywhere. Just be the that tough man that Maidana is. But when we learned that Kenny Bayless was going to be the ref, we had to change a little bit of the game plan, because I know Kenny Bayless was not going to let us fight on the inside. He was going to break us up all the time. The first ref did a great job. I think it was 20 weeks. He did a great job, in the fight, and we almost pulled it off. We thought we had won, and that's the reason we got a rematch, because a lot of people thought we won, and they forced Mayweather to give us a rematch. So on the second fight, Mayweather clearly won, but it was, because he's just a great boxer. He's so smart. That guy is smart. He fights very good. He's very defensive, and knowing that we couldn't fight very aggressive because of the ref, we had to change a little bit of doing a little bit of counterpunching. And even then, even though I know we lost the fight, even then I still believe Maidana did really good with some counterpunching. He even caught Mayweather with a right counterpunch that really stunned Maidana at the end of a round. I mean, really stunned Mayweather at the end of a round. So we still did good. We didn't win the fight, but for Maidana, getting those 3 big fights, Broner and 2 with me, that changed his life. That made him a superstar in his country. Probably besides Lionel Messi, probably the second biggest star in their country at the moment. So he got comfortable. That's why he retired.
There was a couple of hints of him maybe making comebacks and things like that. Personally, are you happy that it never came to fruition?
Yes, I am happy that he never came back, because, look, when a fighter retires and a few years go by and he's already 36, 37, 38, and they decide to come back, sometimes this is not the case with Maidana, because I know he's doing really well, but a lot of times it's because, they spend their money already. Maidana made a lot of money, so he doesn't need to do it because of the money. But he wanted to come back, but you already took 4 or 5 years off. You've been out for so long, your body changes. Your body's not gonna function the way it was when you were active. So I wouldn't want to see that him coming back, which never happened, which I'm happy for. But yeah, those fighters that retire and then 6, 7, 8, 10 years later they want to make a comeback, it's a big mistake, because the bodies change. Once you're active, you keep going. After, you might take a year off, because a lot of fighters fight once a year. You might be fighting every year, but at least you're staying. At least it's every year. I recommend them not to do that, but a lot of fighters do fight once a year. But once they take 5, 6 years off, and then their body's going to be totally different.
Just a word on Anthony Joshua, back with a unanimous decision win over Jermaine Franklin. Did you watch the fight, Robert? You know
what? I wasn't able to watch the fight. I was in Mexico at some fights that I had that same day, so I didn't see the fight. But I was reading from comments, people talking how the fight went, and I ended up watching a small little clip, from what I seen and read. A lot of people calling me also. Did you see Anthony Joshua? He fought scared. You could see that he's scared. His eyes. He throws a jab, backs up, and or throws a combination and holds right away. But a guy that big and a fighter that big, has to fight. Nobody says nothing about Tyson Fury doing that. Tyson Fury does that. Tyson Fury throws and holds, pushes. Yeah, Klitschko was the same way. Those guys that big, that's the way they have to do it. So people are criticizing Anthony for something that every heavyweight that size does. Being that it's Anthony, everybody, since people say that since the Andy Ruiz fight, he's done. He doesn't want to fight anymore, and this and that. But every huge fighter that big, that heavy, they have to fight like that. There's, we can't see a fighter like that do stuff like pivots and stuff like that. Usyk could do it because he's a lot smaller, but when you're such a big guy, you have to punch, hold. George Foreman used to do the same. So that I think it's just people just criticizing Anthony for because they already have that number on him. You're the guy that doesn't have the heart. You're the guy that's afraid to fight. And it sucks that that's going to be the rest of his career. People criticizing him for not wanting to fight, for being afraid to throw punches, being afraid to get hit. But every other heavyweight that big does the same.
You've always been transparent about your time working with him. He said, look, I'm not going to lie about how things were, etc. But he came out after the fight and said again he was disappointed with some of your comments around your time working together. Are you disappointed in a way with how that's kind of been left and the fact he maybe feels that way?
You know what? It sucks that he feels that way because if he wants a true answer, I think the trainer is the one that needs to tell him. He's surrounded. He could be surrounded with nothing but yes men. You know what? That's fine, but the trainer has to be real to him. If the trainer is also a yes man, then then the trainer is not a real person. Then you're fake. If you're nothing but yes men around you, then you're fake. The trainer is that responsibility. Me as a trainer, I have that responsibility to say what I see and to be honest with him. And when a fighter comes out saying, "Oh, I didn't like a comment that he made," then what do you expect me to? Then I could be a yes man and just go out there and just get paid and not give a fuck. There is trainers like that, but I'm not one of them. I'm gonna say that if I feel that he, I think it was after the fight he, totally lost control of his mind. The way he acted was not right. I'm not the only one saying it. Everybody else saying it. Okay, and after I think it was the 10th round, 9th or 10th round, where Anthony almost stopped Usyk. Great fucking round. But then the following round, it was totally the opposite. Usyk came back and dominated that round. Well, if I said, that Usyk mentally beat Anthony, I think I was correct. I think that's something that a fighter needs to listen to the trainer and say, you know what, my trainer's right. I got to change that shit. I should come back stronger that round. If I already had him out in one round, the next round I got to go finish him. But it was totally the opposite. It was like Usyk's the one that had Anthony in trouble and came back strong to finish him because that was the way those rounds turned around. Well, I'm saying it to try to make you better. If you took it personally, if he took it like I was talking shit, well, no, I was trying to help you, try to motivate you to not allow that to happen. Hopefully that taught him a lesson, and now with his new trainer, Derrick James is at this moment the best trainer in the world, trainer of the year. With guys like Charlo, who is an undisputed champion, and the other one in Spence, who could be undisputed in the next couple of months if he fights Crawford. Fuck, everybody wants to be with that trainer. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to train with him because that's the trainer of the moment. So he's in great hands, great position. So I know they'll do good and doing what I advise them to do, coming to the United States and getting a stay busy tuna fight is the best thing that they did, and they did it. Not with me, but they did it. I would say 2 or 3 of those fights, and then go after a huge fight, but not his next fight. I know it's a business. I know Eddie Hearn and his management team, if that fight with Fury is out there or a fight with Walter is out there, they're going to take it because it's a lot of fucking money. They'll take it because that's the way promoters are. That's the way managers are. They want the big payday. They don't really care about the fighter. They want the big paydays. If it was up to me, like I told them before I left, give them 2 or 3 fights. Go to China and fight that Chinese guy over there, or go back to Saudi and fight somebody, somebody else. Just keep them busy, 3 or 4 fights, And if they do that with Derrick James, it's going to give them more time, more months to work together, to know each other, and to learn from each other, and they'll do great things.
Just a word on Vergil Ortiz. I know you're no longer working together, but it was an amicable split, and what we've seen with him now, this recurring medical condition, obviously out of his fight, incredibly sad. Just a word on what's going on with him.
Well, I'm not a doctor, but from what I've heard, it's that what happened to him is because he trains too much. But that kid trains hard, man. I had him for a few years, and that kid is probably the hardest working kid I've ever worked with. Jose Ramirez works hard. Jesse Rodriguez, works hard. Ramirez, one of the hardest workers I've worked with. And Jesse Bam and his brother, those guys worked hard. But Vergil was just extra hard, And I think, from what I understand, is from working out too much. And like Vergil said, it's not like he just worked out too hard for that fight. He just works out too hard, too long, because the fight got postponed, the fight got changed, and months went by and he keeps training because that kid's always in the gym. That kid wants to continue training all the time. Sometimes there is times where you have to take a week off, 2 weeks off, just to let your body heal. But the kid is one of those kids that's always in the gym, always training hard. So I know he will be back. I know he'll recover. But I've always said it, because I know the kid from the gym. I had him in the gym for a few years, and yeah, you guys might do good. They might do good the first few rounds, but to have somebody like Vergil coming at you for 12 rounds, it's going to be fucking hard to keep them away. And those are the type of fighters that are not going to be easy to be able to outbox or to dominate for so long. But the kid is so strong. He's got so much condition, and he's got a great heart. He's not going to give up. Physically or mentally, you're not going to beat him.
Well, we're on the welterweights. There's talk that Spence Crawford might be happening after all. We might have ourselves an undisputed fight. If it gets made, who wins and how?
Man, that's a fight that we've been waiting for, and it might already be a little bit too late, because I think they're like 35, going on 36. Crawford is. Spence might be like 33, 34. So it's might be a little bit too late. We would have loved to see this fight 4 or 5 years ago, so that this should have been the rematch already, like number 2 or even number 3, a trilogy. I would love that, but just knowing that it might be going on sometime in June, can't wait. I think it's going to be a great fight. Both are, either one could be number 1 or number 2 pound for pound. People could choose Crawford, people could choose Spence, or vice versa, and nobody's wrong, because they're so good. It's just going to be one of those fights where the boxing world loves, the boxing world enjoys, and brings boxing, to where it's supposed to be, where a lot of people think that boxing is not anymore. Those fights are the ones that need to happen to put people in notice that boxing is there. Boxing still has those big fights. I lean towards Terence Crawford. I just think Terence Crawford has a little bit more of that toughness, that dog in him. I'm not saying Spence doesn't, because Spence is great, man. But I don't know. I just lean towards Crawford. But it's a 50-50 fight. It's a very close fight, and I wish them both the best, because they're both very good people. They're both I can't say they're my friends, but every time we see each other, we're good with each other. But I just wish them the best. I think either one could win, and whoever wins is just going to be pound for pound the best fighter in the world.
Speaking of great fights for boxing, we're only 2 weeks away now from Tank Garcia. Brilliant fight. What do you think is going to be the difference between them?
Man, that fight is probably the biggest fight of the year, honestly. Fights, the welterweight fights, and Crawford and Spence, it's huge. And 30 years ago, that would have been the biggest fight out there, when Leonard and Hagler, and, we had all those Hearns, and, all those top fighters, middleweight, super middleweight, and welterweight fights. They were huge. There was nothing bigger than that. But right now, with Tank and Ryan Garcia being so big on social media, because right now social media is very important, I think that's going to be the biggest fight of the year. Man, can't wait, honestly, can't wait. I know Tank is already proven himself. He's already a 3-division champion. He's proven himself to be one of the best in the world. But Ryan has something, man. Ryan has something that people might be sleeping on. He's got that speed and that power that, if he catches Tank, I know he's going to hurt him.
Is this one of those fights where you can see any outcome?
Any outcome, and nobody's is gonna be upset. They're young. See, that's the fight. That's the type of fight that Spence and Crawford should have been doing 10 years ago. That way, we get a rematch and a trilogy. These kids are young. Both are young. So I could probably say we're gonna see a rematch, maybe a trilogy, because it's gonna be that big and that good. I think it's gonna be a great fight. I know on paper and most of the boxing people think Tank should win because of the experience. Ryan has never fought not even for the world title at all. Never fought a championship fight before. So Tank is supposed to win. He's a favorite. But like I'm telling you, I'm not sleeping on Ryan's speed and power. I've seen it. I know what he's done in sparring. So it's a fight where, honestly, if you force me to pick, I think Ryan's going to catch him with that left hook and hurt him.
A lot made of the 10-pound rehydration clause that Ryan Garcia's got. I think he can go up to 146 the day after, but as far as I'm aware, he's not someone that puts on a huge amount of weight after weighing in anyway. Do you see it playing a part at all, the rehydration clause?
Well, most of the time, when they do the rehydration clause, like I know for a fact the IBF. So by the next day, you can't gain more than 10% of your body weight from what you weighed the day of the weigh-in. But they weigh them in the morning. They weigh them like at 8 in the morning. So after weigh-in, after they still go eat breakfast, and they're still gonna go have a lunch before the fight. So that's another 4 to 5 pounds. So I don't think it will be a big deal at all. But just the fact that Tank put that clause out there already tells me he's worried. Why would he? He's never done it before. He didn't do it against any of his opponents. He has never done that. He didn't do it against Barrios, who is a much bigger guy. Doing it with Ryan, that just tells me that he's worried. He has, just the fact that he did it when he's never done it before. It's already a question of why did he do that. And also, I think the fight was, they were trying to fight for 37, 38, and he ended up saying, no, it has to be 36. So that's also another 1 or 2 pounds. That's probably, that I think could be the situation that could hurt Ryan the most. He hasn't gone down to 136 in years, in a couple of years. So losing those 2 pounds sometimes are the hardest. That rehydration clause, the 10 pounds the next day or whatever, I don't think that would be a problem, because then he's going to go have breakfast and go have lunch and maybe even dinner before the fight. So that's not a problem. I think the last 2 pounds that he's going to force him to lose might be what hurts Ryan a little bit. But I don't know Ryan's body. I'm pretty sure if he accepts it, that means he's going to have no problem making weight.
Right, Robert, thank you as always for speaking at ID Boxing. We'll catch you soon.
Thank you very much.